Welcome to the Editor's Note Comics Podcast, the only podcast coming from Central Maine's best comic book store by default. My name is Zach. With me, as always, is my co-host, Jared.
I may have the hiccups in the early part of this podcast. I apologize. But I'm here. Hello.
Where'd you get the hiccups?
Well, I took a swig of my drink right before you started to talk, and I didn't want to have it come out loud.
Just water. Only water.
By the way, you really classed the Editor's Note podcast studio up this week with all these different drapes and
They're
blankets and
they're unused curtains.
unused curtains.
Got to take off all the hard edges, reduce the echo.
Is there a difference between a drape and a curtain?
Those are draped over things, so I guess right now they're drapes.
I think drapes are like the window dressing, and the curtain is what you can close to block out the rest of the world.
Yeah, sure. This week we're going to be talking about the Captain America movies, but first, we're getting into the news.
We need a fancy news sound effect or
Actually,
something.
I hadn't told you this yet. I was going to tell you, but we're getting stuff.
Really?
Yeah, we're getting segment transitions and whatnot. I don't know what exactly we got coming in, but yeah.
Somebody's sending us some sound sweepers.
Yes.
This is what they're called in the business. Are sweepers.
Yes.
That's 4 years of broadcast school paying off.
Yeah, and someone who's actually a professional is doing stuff for the show.
Wow.
For us who are not professionals.
I was a professional for a couple of years, and then
I don't see you cutting together different things.
I mean, if you asked me to, I could cut the show together.
Oh, I'm sure you could cut the show, but yeah, make us sound more professional. We're one step closer to selling out.
Nice. Although you've told me the moment you sell out, I go from co-host to special guest.
Yeah, I don't want to share the money. All that sweet podcast money.
You selfish bastard.
All right, going into the news. Let's do casting. Keaton's out. No Keaton in Spider-Man.
Okay.
But 20 minutes before that, they're like, oh, hey, but we did get Robert Downey Jr.
So there'll be Iron Man in there, which I don't know. More Robert Downey Jr. is okay by me. I like him. I look at him as kind of like the keystone to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Iron Man. I mean, he's in a vast majority of them. He's really what helped get it kicked off with Iron Man, so I'm okay with it.
I assume that since Aunt May is played by Marissa Tomei, Peter's going to have an Uncle Tony by the end of this flick.
Ooh, too soon.
How? How is that too soon?
Not soon enough.
You don't know how long he's been dead.
Uncle Ben.
Marissa Tomei.
Fair enough. How'd Pepper feel, though, if Tony Stark got with Aunt May?
I think she's in Civil War. Or maybe she filmed stuff. It was cut. I don't know. We'll find out in 10 days.
Next week.
10 days. A little over a week. I gave you the countdown.
Next week, yeah. 10 days.
Bad math.
Cinco de Mayo. It's technically next week. Next calendar week.
More casting than I really don't have anything to say about it, but I just like him. William Dafoe is in Justice League. Don't know what he's doing. I just like him. He kind of has a goblin face.
Well, he was the Green Goblin.
Because he has a goblin face.
Yes. No, it'll be interesting to see him dive back into the comic book world. I thought he did a great job with...
being crazy.
Yes, with being great, which he usually does. But I thought he was good as Green Goblin and in the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man flick.
I'm just going to keep going with casting. For any future Terminator sequels, Emilia Clarke is out. She's not doing Sarah Connor anymore.
Do we have a name as to who they're going to replace her with?
No one. It's dead.
Just let Terminator be done?
Let it just go away. That movie, I have selective continuity on that. That movie goes 1, 2, and that's it.
That's not the first movie you've said that about tonight.
No, also I say that about Alien.
1, 2, and it's it.
Yeah, it's done after that. Nothing happens after that. I assume Newt lives. Just don't watch the first 5 minutes of Alien 3. Yeah, Spoiler, she doesn't make it.
Well, in your world she does.
Yes.
In the Zach Bowen Alien continuity.
Yeah, they made it back, they're fine. More exciting casting news. We got a new Avenger. He's going to be showing up in Guardians of the Galaxy. Nathan Fillion is going to play Wonder Man.
Oh, I saw that, because Fillion was in... we know him from Serenity and Firefly.
He's been in every movie James Gunn has done. James Gunn has done 3 movies. He's been in all of them.
Should be a good addition. I like him with that cast. He seems to kind of fit in well with that cast.
What do you know about Wonder Man?
Not as much as I know about Doctor Strange, which I knew nothing about Doctor Strange 2 weeks ago.
Wonder Man was a villain, then he was an Avenger, then he was an actor, and then he became an Avenger again, and then he became a pacifist. But it looks like they're playing him up as the actor version. They show there's going to be a film festival with him, and they show him he's going to be playing Tony Stark in what looks like the Steve Jobs biopic and other weird stuff like that.
I like it.
Like, yeah, get another Avenger in there, even if it's doing something different. Which also means some of Guardians 2 is going to take place on Earth, because these were all from set photos that this came out.
So you got to wonder if that kind of brings Star-Lord back home, maybe search for his family on Earth.
Or maybe he just wants to watch a movie.
Yeah, good. Can you imagine if like Groot walked into like Cannes or Tribeca film festival? It's the giant tree walking around.
No, I couldn't imagine that
What
because
movie are you
he's
gonna
fictional.
see? I am Groot.
That would be what he would say.
It would be.
So Groot can communicate, but there's something like his vocal cords have hardened beyond the point of that's just within certain vibrations. You have to be listening for it. He's king of his race.
Yes.
His whole tree race.
I've got baby Groot in a plant behind me.
You do.
You gotta wonder though. Interesting, where Groot got blown up and then they're regrowing Groot. Maybe he'll have more lines.
No.
Well, guess not. But you know what? It's
Definitely
some
not.
of the best acting Vin Diesel's done in some time.
Since the Iron Giant.
You're talking about like the animated Iron Giant.
Yeah, he was the Iron Giant.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
That took place in Maine.
I'm floored. I've learned 2 things tonight. I brought some comic book news to the show tonight, though, which I'll share in a little bit when you're done with your supposedly important headlines. I have a very relevant headline.
Sure. Last week, when we were talking about Doctor Strange, talked about Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One. Apparently there was a controversy about this. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Whose favorite character is the Ancient One? Who cares? Especially it's a title that's been passed to a bunch of people. Shut up. Shut up, the internet.
Wow. Have we gotten any irrational internet hate? It doesn't seem like we have, because we have people that want to do things for the show.
Yeah. No, everyone's been nice so far.
Well, it's only, episode 5?
Yeah. Tell me if this sounds like an exciting TV show. Krypton, set 200 years in the past with the grandfather of Superman on the Sci-Fi Channel.
No.
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 No, it doesn't.
Okay, so we know that Krypton is going to blow up, and we know he's the grandfather.
But it's 200 years, so you're not going to see anything.
Yeah, this is not going to be nothing exciting anyway. And didn't Superman, fly through space in his little Star of David space pod from Krypton for quite some time?
I wonder if it's, set in the movie universe, too, where to get to thing, you have to have, a floaty platform with your little nail art. Or maybe you have to ride your dragonfly avatar bird.
I didn't hate the new version of Krypton.
I don't want to watch a series about it.
No, I mean, what are you going to get out of it? That's my question.
Nothing.
Because they shouldn't be able to fly on Krypton, because the only reason Superman can fly is because of our yellow sun.
But sometimes it's not that it's a yellow, the yellow sun, the radiation from that is based on its age. So if you went 200 years in the past, maybe they would have a different level of radiation coming from the sun that could affect their powers. I don't care. I'm making excuses for things that don't need excuses for.
Well, a sun 200 years from its death is not going to be...
Very different.
Yes. Although in the new Superman world, Krypton implodes on itself. It's not that the star nearby goes supernova.
It's blown up a whole bunch of ways.
Yeah, so pretty much don't buy any property on Krypton.
Unless you're Lex Luthor and you're trying to create more Krypton in the ocean.
Yeah, but I don't think...
And all the Krypton property.
Well, there you go.
Because everyone wants to live on a barren rock. Last bit of news that I have, the Inhumans movie has been removed from Marvel's release schedule.
Are we sad?
I mean, they have them in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I always thought it was a little weird that they had the Inhumans on the schedule just because of where it was. It was... because they've kind of been building everything up to Avengers, Infinity War, and then they're like, and after that, we have Inhumans. Why? It almost feels like this should be kind of a bookend of everything with Avengers, and then to throw another... Plus,
especially where we're getting Doctor Strange.
Well, the leader of the Inhumans, he's one of the more powerful characters of the Marvel Universe, Black Bolt, except his whole thing is he can't talk. If he can, but if he whispers, you'd get atomized, just blow your head off.
Much like the voice of God in Dogma.
Pretty much the same deal,
yes.
But with Black Bolt. So I don't know, I think it would be hard to base a movie around a character who can't talk. Alright, you can do your bit of news.
See, I bring a little bit of flavor to the show every week. Nickelodeon had bought the rights to the NASCAR Sprint Cup race in Chicago in September. That race is now going to be named the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 400.
Which is the first thing I think of when I think of Ninja Turtles.
Well, in that race, there's going to be a special Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles themed race car driven by Danica Patrick with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles art on it.
I hear she's a driver of some kind.
Yes. So Nickelodeon, owning the rights to that race, decided to name it the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 400.
All right, I'm gonna drop this on you because you seem to care about this for some reason. The new Independence Day trailer came out this week.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Very good. I liked it. I'm interested to see how some of the character development is, and where it goes from there. Bill Pullman's character as the president.
You go to Destruction movies for character development.
Well, I'd like to see the story of what's happened since then. We get a glimpse of Will Smith in that, a picture of him.
Yeah, but he's dead.
Yeah, but I mean,
I guess they wrote 2 scripts, one with him alive and one with him dead.
yes.
And he said no, so they went with the dead one.
No, I think ultimately he may benefit from not being in the movie, but I think that movie will make big money. It's gonna be the typical Earth destruction story.
But I've seen it, I don't care.
I think it's gonna be on a grander scale, though.
Bigger doesn't mean better.
Fair.
Do you see how bad Brent Spiner looks?
Yeah.
Also, didn't he die in the last movie?
Apparently not. Jeff Goldblum's character. He had a couple of good lines, something about they always go after the landmarks or something like that.
That's not good.
Well, I mean,
Well, it looks like they get England pretty good.
Oh yeah.
England goes down.
Well, they have that one ship that lands in the Atlantic Ocean. They're like, well, what part? And the entire Atlantic Ocean. So I really kind of get a feeling that humanity might be dicked here.
But they show that it's like, oh, they're controlling gravity. I'm like, that reminds me of that last Transformers movie that just made me angry.
Well, speaking of controlling
Just
gravity, that
angry.
happened in Man of Steel with the Planet Machine.
Yeah, that didn't really make any sense either. How is Lois Lane falling when everything else is going up?
Are
Is she heavier than a car?
you calling Lois fat?
No, it doesn't make sense. I'm calling him out on physics.
Suspension of disbelief.
No, too much. I don't care about Independence Day.
I think that's one that we'll probably end up saying I'll say see in the theater just because of the size of it. You gotta see it with the surround sound, unless you have the big 70-inch, 4K TV with surround sound.
I don't care. I guess I can kind of spin off of things getting messed up. X-Men Apocalypse had their final trailer drop.
Was that this past week? Because I thought I had seen one for that recently.
The international trailer came out like 3 weeks ago.
So I haven't seen the new domestic trailer then.
We'll be right back, everyone. And we're back!
Hey,
I hear that you saw the new X-Men trailer.
I did, and I thought it was outstanding. It's fresh in my mind, in fact.
I'm back on board, but I know a couple weeks ago I said, I'm kind of done. You know what? Back on board.
What about it brought you back on board?
I'll be honest. The end. The end of the trailer.
The end of the trailer. I think we can spoil the end of the trailer a little bit.
Yeah, considering when I clicked on it for the first time, they're like, new X-Men trailer teases Wolverine. I'm like, oh, well.
Oh, so much for
Really?
teasing.
You just really set it up front.
You're a big Wolverine guy, though.
So do you think it's Hugh Jackman?
I don't know. That's a good question. Because we were talking about this before we came back on, where it's the different continuity
Well,
from Days of Futures Past.
he did tweet the letter W and show that quick clip.
And he was also in X-Men First Class.
And I also took that still at the end and compared it to an Instagram photo of his hands that matched up the veins. So it's him.
Wow, you really have nothing to do.
His left hand veins all matched up.
Okay, there you go.
It's definitely him.
If this comic book thing doesn't work out, you could be a forensic scientist.
Look at those veins.
You could open it up in the shop on Water Street in Hollowell.
Hashtag Wolverine hand vein.
If that gets trending from this podcast, we've made it.
We haven't. All right, what'd you think?
I like it. It's interesting to see Raven's character kind of taking on a lead role in the formation of the X-Men here. We get a good glimpse of first glimpse of Cyclops, Storm.
Yeah,
It looks like Charles is going to be very conflicted in this. I think he's going to be possessed in some way, shape, or form by Apocalypse.
Wait, no. Tell me what X-Men movie I'm talking about. They all start together, and something happens where Charles Xavier gets removed from the plot because he's too powerful.
Isn't that all of them?
All of them. It's happening again. Keep the tradition alive.
Sometimes it's not because of his powers, because he gets overwhelmed. With the time that Magneto
emotion.
messed with Cerebro, and he puts him in a coma.
Yep, got taken out of the movie.
The time that he almost destroyed all of the humans.
Yeah, he was taken out of that early on with gas.
Yes.
The time he blew up.
No, he didn't really blow up. He just kind of atomized. He was
Taken out of the movie.
Yeah, that's 3 for 3.
That time he was still learning how to use his powers and then got shot. I guess that one he wasn't taken out of it.
No, he was in it for the most part, but he really didn't.
And then the
No,
next
the full-
one just flat out taken out with drug addiction.
There it is.
Professor X, never in a movie. That shot of Storm and Cyclops, that's really reminiscent of a book from the 80s and a fight that they had to see who was going to be the leader of the X-Men. The imagery was very similar, so I think they're going for close-ish in some parts of this being going close to the books. X-Men movies aren't famous for accuracy or accuracy within their own timelines, continuity, anything like that. This one's no better from the looks of it.
No, but it's on the Days of Futures Past timeline now. So
There's still, I'm not going to get into it. We could do an entire episode about things that don't make sense in the X-Men movies.
Fair enough.
That might be a future episode, so I can just yell at Fox for an hour.
Yeah, but it's kind of fun to have some Marvel movies that are not Avengers based.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad these movies exist.
Don't get me wrong, I love the Avengers movies.
Something that I saw in here, so it looks like in between the last movie and this movie, Magneto's going to get married. So we hear him talking about, when I watched the trailer the first time, he's like, oh, when my family died. So I just thought he meant like back in World War II. You see him crying over a body, maybe two bodies.
Yeah.
You can see he's wearing a wedding ring and clutching some kind of jewelry. I think he's the same flannel shirt, so I think...
I almost look like dog tags to me, but I'm not sure.
I think it was like a potential wife's necklace. I don't know.
Could be some sort of locket.
They're sticking with the whole Quicksilver is his son thing. Marvel changed that a couple of years ago. They're like, oh, by the way, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, not actually mutants, and also not related to Magneto, even though they have been since the 60s. Because of movie rights.
Well, there you go. And that also lends credence to your theory about being married and his family being dead. Maybe we have a reunion of father and son here.
Oh, no, no, he just knocked her up.
Oh, well, it happens.
I think he had a family that he liked.
And a side piece that he got knocked up.
No, it was well before terminology like that existed. He was just an absentee father.
Ah, not really a deadbeat dad?
He did spend all that time in prison, I guess he is.
Okay, fair enough.
I wasn't a big fan of Quicksilver in the last movie. I thought the sequence with him running around the kitchen looked amazing, but he was just too overpowered. If he's a guy who's going so fast he could stand next to a bullet and leisurely move its trajectory, why is anyone else there? And that's such an insane level of speed that they shouldn't have any problems ever.
Would you be pissed off though if like Wolverine's only in it for like 5 minutes?
No.
5 minutes of Wolverine is better than no Wolverine.
I just want the movie to be good. That's my answer for everything. Just be good.
Don't suck.
Stand on your own merits. If Wolverine being in there means that they're going to be falling back on references or just putting everything into this one scene, then no, I think that'd be terrible. Have the movie stand on its own. Be good.
Be good, don't suck.
Be good, and I thought it was interesting that they weren't going to have him. Like, yes, that's a bolder move. Like, be good without having the most marketable character.
And one of the most recognizable characters.
Yeah. Be good without that. And if he's in there, great. Be good with that. Just don't be bad.
Well, we'll see how it plays out and how Hugh Jackman, if he is Wolverine in this.
Hashtag Wolverine Handvein.
There we go.
No, it's him. Look, I had to scroll through that Instagram, found a picture of his hands. It was the whole thing.
Slow day at the shop?
Yeah, we had a snowstorm in May. Yeah, it was not a busy day.
Yeah. I know, it was weird that it snowed today.
Yeah, I was not expecting...
It snowed a lot today.
I wasn't expecting much in the way of foot traffic on the snowstorm in May.
Hashtag May Snowpocalypse?
No. I don't want to remember this day. Yeah, no.
Hashtag Wolverine Handvein.
It was one of those things. I went in today. I'm like, oh yeah, no one's coming. I think that will wrap it up for news and assorted trailers of the week.
Excellent.
Moving on to our topic. We're talking about Captain America.
Ooh, I should wear my Captain America shirt tonight. I didn't. I did wear my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles shirt, though.
No one can see your shirts.
I know, but it makes me feel like I'm more in the zone for the podcast.
I'm wearing a sweatshirt that's 3 sizes too large, and it is amazing.
It's like fleece lined.
Yeah, no, this is just... I don't know why I have
this. Is it
this.
Real fleece or fake fleece?
I don't know. It was given to me.
It's very warm.
Yeah, this is
like...
Good
that you're having to wear like a fleece lined sweater in April.
It's like wearing a blanket.
Oh, like a Snuggie?
It's kind of like a Snuggie, but it's just a really big sweatshirt.
Is there room in there? Like, is it like a tauntaun? Like, if I were like dying on the planet of Hoth, could I crawl in there and stay warm for a little bit while somebody erected the shelter?
It also smells worse on the inside.
Worse on the inside? And I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Yes, that was the joke.
I got it. I'm picking up what you're putting down. The force is strong with you.
So, Captain America, the First Avenger, comes out 2011, directed by Joe Johnston, whose big claim to fame, Jumanji.
You know what? First Avenger, way better than Jumanji.
Joe Johnston, also the guy who did the design for Boba Fett's armor.
Really?
The most useless character in Star Wars, yeah.
But the most loved.
He does nothing. He stands there and dies.
No disintegrations. Would you like to see a Boba Fett spinoff?
No.
Why not?
I mean, I guess if they make him functional.
Well, it doesn't really ultimately matter. You don't think anyone really cares what happens between when his father gets beheaded on Geonosis and the time he gets eaten by the Sarlacc.
Again, if it's good, I'll watch it.
What does he think? What does Han Solo do to piss him off? Although Han Solo seems to piss off a lot of people.
By having his roguish charm.
Swindling him out of money.
And Boba Fett can't get, I think he's like 17 words or something.
Yeah.
But 2011, Captain America comes out. And this was at a time when Marvel was still getting off their feet a little bit. I'm sure we'll talk about it a bit in the future. But, I mean, Iron Man comes out amazing. 3 months later, Hulk comes out. It's kind of good. It really stands on being pretty okay. Iron Man 2, kind of fine.
I liked Iron Man 2 a lot.
We'll talk about it next week in our Iron Man episode.
We're having an Iron Man episode next week?
Yeah.
I'm wearing my Iron Man shirt.
Thor comes out. Thor, don't think about it too much.
See, I liked Thor.
He has a long weekend with one girl, and he just changes his entire outlook on life, and everything is resolved. And an old man with narcolepsy is what causes any of the drama.
Dude,
in
he
that
was in
movie.
the Odin sleep. He was stressed. The Odin sleep comes on. It's important.
If that old man didn't have narcolepsy,
That old man
no
is
problems
Anthony
would have
Hopkins. Have some damn respect.
he also, it was over the course of like 2 days, like, we don't know how long it's going to be. Oh, it was like a long cat nap.
You don't know. It could be longer time between Asgard and Earth. There's a lot in there.
No, there wasn't.
There's Idris Elba in that movie, too. There's some big...
Who's criminally underused.
Well, he got more time in Dark World.
Criminally underused.
I'm not going to argue that, but I still think Thor was a good movie. I enjoyed it. It was a good origin movie.
I'm sure we'll talk about it. I like parts of it.
Visually, I think it's outstanding. It's stunning. Kenneth Branagh, although better known for Shakespearean films. He did like Hamlet.
Yeah, you know what screams hero? Watching Thor get knocked out 4 times in a 5-minute span, because that just kept getting funnier every time. It was only 4 times in 5 minutes.
He didn't have his powers.
Yeah, do it once, not 4 times.
Well, I mean, it shows that
5
the
minutes.
determination. He who be worthy shall wield the power of Thor. Mjolnir.
No, it shows multiple drafts of a script that were shot, and then they decided to shove all of the same joke into it multiple times. It's not good.
What? Just because you go up against the Destroyer and see how well you fare.
That's not when it was like him getting hit by a car, him getting a needle in the ass, him getting hit by a car
part.
again. There was a 4th one. Oh, him getting tased. That was it.
Oh yes.
No, too much.
There's something about that like romantic language speak though that they speak in Thor.
Yeah,
the Asgardian.
With Natalie Portman's amazing acting. Oh my God. No,
that's
you're the
not
worst.
That's not that's what I mean by romantic language. Like, you know, like thou and thy and like that line he has in Age of Ultron. The gates of hell are full of the wailing of his, victims.
So, one amazing movie, 3 that I like. I like all of them, but definitely some of the weaker Marvel movies, at least in my opinion. If you have a different opinion, that's fine. Have your own thoughts and feelings. I encourage it.
Share them, comment, email. We can discuss. I still wish we could do a mailbag episode where people ask questions and we answer.
But the movie opens, and I'm kind of confused right from the get-go.
Are we on First Avenger? Or?
Yeah, on First Avenger, because they open up, and they go find the janitor from Harry Potter, who has the Cosmic Cube. Who is he, and why does he have this?
Again, that's never really
There
explained.
aren't answers.
No explanation, but it does introduce Red Skull.
And I really like Hugo Weaving. I thought he did good. He did good.
He did well.
Yeah, that was
But
amazing.
I mean, Hugo Weaving is like the nerd's #1 actor. Like geeks, if he's in a movie, geeks are gonna flock to it. Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, Matrix,
Transformers.
Boo.
You
You just don't like Michael Bay.
We won't do a Transformers episode.
You don't like Michael Bay.
No.
Were you ever a Transformers fan though?
The show was on.
Okay.
It's about as deep as my love went.
Back on to Captain America.
So we go and we meet Tiny Steve.
Yeah, he was scrawny. He was like Jared Richmond High School scrawny.
What do you think about that effect?
It wasn't bad, but you could tell obviously that it was computer affected there.
Yeah, he looks like a weird bobblehead.
Yeah,
But they did the best they could, I guess.
but it kind of it helped make that transition after he gets the serum. It gives it more effect.
Gives him more abs.
It does.
And not to get off on a bad foot on the movie, there's a lot of stuff I really like. There's some Some of the references are a little silly, like how he keeps on finding shield-like objects to defend himself with.
Yes, the door.
The garbage can. But there's some really cool stuff in there. You see in the very beginning when they meet Howard Stark and they're at that fair, they have the original Marvel superhero, his costumes there. So Steve's not the first hero they've ever had.
Yeah.
They show, and there was another one, the original Human Torch. So the very first Marvel character, you see his suit in there. The first two were Human Torch and Namor. Namor, I think some of the rights are at Universal. It's unclear if we'll ever see him in the movies. But seeing the original Human Torch costume, even if it's just a throwaway reference, that's really cool. I love that kind of stuff. And so there's still kind of a history in that world. There's other stuff in there too, like showing the first Captain America comic and recreating the cover of it. The first Captain America comic, done by the amazing Jack Kirby, very early on, co-created with Joe Simon, is him just punching out Hitler. And they showed the physical comic in there, but they also show him punching Hitler, like
in the musical sequence,
which was done by the same guy who did the music for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Wow.
You know who I really like that flick was Stanley Tucci. He's only in there for a little bit, but I really like him.
Yeah.
I like him pretty much everything though. It's hard for me not to be like, the Tooch doing a bad job.
I don't think that he has the nickname the Tooch. You got the Tooch?
Hashtag the Tooch.
Wow. Hashtag Prince. R.I.P.
Unrelated. So unrelated to this.
Well, I just felt like if you're going to make hashtags, I'm going to hashtag some shit.
I'm not going to hashtag any of this.
Okay.
Maybe I will. Just confuse
Hashtag
everyone.
the Tooch.
Confuse.
Someone's going to look up hashtag the Tooch, click on this podcast, and be severely disappointed.
What were they looking for?
I don't know. The Tooch.
Were they looking for the touch from the Transformers 1986 animated movie? Bringing it back!
Wow. And you said you didn't like Transformers.
I do like that soundtrack.
You
got the touch! I can't do it.
Isn't it White Lion did the theme? The Transformers theme?
We're getting too deep into it. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it is. It's White Lion.
I believe you.
Transformers! Because that was your ringtone for text messages for a while. There was that one night that you and a friend of ours and I were all staying in the same place, and your phone kept going off, and it kept doing the Transformers thing over and over and over.
I've had some of the worst text tones when text tones were a thing.
Yes.
My favorite was I had Ralph William going, "Me fail English? That's impossible." But it did it 3 times, no matter what.
Yes.
My roommate hated it. Overall, I do really like this movie. There's things I like, there's things I dislike. I don't really like how over advanced Hydra is. I understand though that if you're going to be marketing a World War II movie to kids, just blowing people up with blue energy is going to be more effective than Saving Private Ryaning, that kind of stuff.
It gives some weight to the Tesseract, though. It gives some weight to that research that Red Skull and Hydra are doing to create an ultimate weapon.
With Capote.
Yes.
Do you remember when 2 Capote bioflicks came out within the same year? Like,
Yes. What was it? It was Capote. What was the other one?
Truman. One of my favorite things about this movie is we get to meet the Howling Commandos.
Oh, yeah.
And so I guess what that was, Marvel books were selling so well in the 60s that Stan Lee just went, I'm going to make up a book with the stupidest name I can think of, and it's going to sell like gangbusters.
And it did.
So he came up with Nick Fury and or Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos. Sold like gangbusters. He went like a $50 bet or something.
Yeah.
But still, they've lived on a lot of those characters. Mostly only Dum Dum Dugan, who wears a bowler hat still to this day, but now he's a robot.
Are we gonna tear into it a little bit? Because I do have a couple of things that, like, I know it's the Captain America character, but I feel like he's like too idealistic sometimes. Like things are too black and white for Cap. There's no gray area, and I think we're gonna start to get in.
At that time, I think you needed it because Captain America was created to be essentially for propaganda for World War II.
I get that. He
had to be the ideal of that kind of greatest generation.
But it's very over the top. Sometimes his character's so black and white that you don't see any shades of gray, and I'd like to see. I bet that's gonna be some of what we see here.
But he's a character, and part of what I like about him, he's someone who has conviction. But at the same time, he was part of World War II. He had to go in with those, and I think that shows a lot of strength of the character. He's someone who had to go in with those ideals, and he had to murder a lot of dudes. And he
kills some people.
He kills a lot of people. He was in World War II. He was, like, in this world, the greatest soldier of World War II. He killed a lot of guys. And he came out of that still with core base idealism and conviction. There's something to be said for all of that you can go into that
And don't get
and
me wrong,
escape.
I love Captain America. He's one of my favorite characters. I feel like they, it's part of the design, trying to create a little bit of a split. Are you, Team Cap, or are you Team Iron Man? Team Stark, Team Cap,
No one says it that way.
Well, what are you? Are you Team Cap, or are you Team Iron Man?
If this was in just the actual comic book world, I'm like, yeah, totally, freedom for the superheroes. If this was in the real world, I'll be like, first of all, arrest everybody. But if we have to do it, I guess make them a specialized force controlled by the government.
But I think the argument we're gonna see in Civil War is they tried that with Shield, and Hydra infiltrated Shield and created all those problems.
Yeah, if it was real world, I'd be like, yes, absolutely, do not let these lunatics just run around and do whatever they want. That's insanity. In comic book world, I'm like, yeah, let them do what they want.
So if someone like tomorrow we read in the newspaper that someone has developed the ability to fly, you want them on lockdown.
We should probably kill them.
Why couldn't we study them?
I'm afraid of change, Jared.
Well, that would be significant change if some guy just up and defied the laws of gravity.
End of the day, I think my biggest complaint with the movie is I don't get falling invested in it because they have to cover so much ground and covering all of World War, going with the origin and covering World War II. I don't feel like I'm ever fully in one spot. Because we're moving around so fast, like every 3 minutes we're jumping around into a different time or to a different thing, and I'm not 100% ever in the movie because it's just moving on so fast.
Yeah, and again, it has so much ground to cover. Again, in those origin stories, in those Phase 1 MCU films, I think this one is one of the ones that covers the most ground.
It's one of the best. I think for kind of pre-Avengers, those first round of origin movies, this is the best one after Iron Man.
Yeah, I think Iron Man is the best. It really set a good template. Jon Favreau is just a great director of those movies.
The other thing to talk about this movie is they have Bucky, who originally was one of the early kind of teenage sidekicks. He wasn't there was never this whole, like, I'm a full-grown man. Who's bigger than you? He was always just a little boy.
Yeah, and Cap's like his younger, like the little brother kind of character.
No, not originally in the books.
No, but in the movie he is.
Yeah, in the movie he is, but not... so they kind of...
The little buddy character.
Because, boy, could you not get away with that. And how it's like, here's Captain America and his 12-year-old boy sidekick killing Nazis.
Well, Nazis were bad.
Go get them, Bucky.
Yeah. Again, that's part of the propaganda of Captain America is, everybody do your part. But back to affecting Captain America.
So, back in the world of comics for a long, long time, there was kind of only one steadfast rule for death. You don't bring back Jason Todd, and you don't bring back Bucky Barnes. Right around 2005, both of those things flew out the window. Which will bring us into our next movie, Winter Soldier, but before we do, where's it going to land on the rating system? See it in theaters. Can't do it anymore. Redbox it, or just do something better with your life.
Oh, gotta watch it. It's a must-watch. If you're gonna watch any of the Marvel movies...
Where'd you watch it? Would you watch it in theaters or Redbox?
Oh, I watched it in the theater.
I agree. Watch this one in theaters.
If it's not playing in a theater near you, build a theater. Play it. Have a home theater. Go to the theater and demand they play it before Civil War.
They're doing that. I saw that when I was looking up tickets earlier. They're doing one of those marathon things again. No.
Okay.
No.
You wouldn't go back in and see if you had the opportunity to go back and see it in the theater?
If my only choice was to marathon it, no, I would not. Under any circumstance.
I think that'd be kind of fun though to marathon it.
I think that sounds awful.
Yeah, that's right. You don't like long movies.
I don't want to.
Because you'd be looking at 6 hours in the theater.
I don't want to
7-ish.
Or if they do the Avengers movies in there, or like if they did all the Marvel movies, I wouldn't want to sit for that
If you
long.
had to, before we get into Winter Soldier, if you had to choose of any of the Marvel movies, if they could re-release, play it in the theater, and you could go watch it tomorrow, which one would you want to see in the theater?
Avengers. If I had to do with what's had more than one.
The first Avengers?
I thought you were saying if I had
No,
like
like
marathon just a
one
series.
film. One film.
I'd probably still say Avengers.
What about Guardians of the Galaxy? Would you go see that in theater? Like, if you could get that back in the theater?
Oh, I'd see that in a heartbeat.
Let's talk about, right now, Winter Soldier.
All right. I'm going to just lay this out up front. I'm a little worried talking about this movie because I don't have a lot of negative to say.
It's not bad that you don't have anything negative to say. You don't always have to tear things apart.
It doesn't have to be negative, but I just want to be like, you know what I like? I like this part, and then I liked this part. And in that part where they said that thing, that was the best.
I really, for me, it kind of has an Empire Strikes Back feel to it. It's a darker movie. Everything goes to hell.
Well, the whole kind of Phase 2 mantra was to go off of Empire Strikes Back. Everything was supposed to feel like Empire Strikes Back, which is why in every movie someone loses a hand.
In every Phase 2 movie,
Every Phase 2 movie, someone loses a hand.
who loses a hand in Winter Soldier? Bucky has a mechanical arm.
Yeah, but that's what they showed him, like having his arm
His stub.
off. Yeah,
All right, so okay, there's that. Iron Man 2.
3, because it starts with Iron Man 3.
I'm sorry, Iron Man 3.
Aldrich Killian gets his arm hacked off with a knife coming out of the Iron Man suit, then it regrows. In Thor gets his hand chopped off.
Yes.
Guardians, Groot gets his arm chopped off.
Groot has many arms, though.
Yeah. Ant-Man, Yellow Jacket, his arm implodes. And then even in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Coulson had his hand chopped off by an axe, which was going out around the same time as all the Phase 2 stuff.
Well, there you go.
Everyone loses a hand.
I like how it really shows his struggle to transition to the to this world from the 1940s. I love that scene early on when he's running around DC. Falcon, the guy who ends up being Falcon,
Yeah.
tells him Anthony Mackie's character,
Mackie.
who is awesome in Pain and Gain. By the way, did you ever see Pain and Gain?
No.
I know you're not a Michael Bay guy.
You've laid it out that I'm not going to watch that movie.
I think you should. We're gonna watch it.
I'm not going to do that.
We're gonna watch Pain and Gain. Not tonight, but we're gonna watch Pain and Gain. But where it says gives him the Marvin Gaye album to watch, and he pulls out a little notebook and writes it down and some of the things that he has listed in there.
Yep, that was done depending on what region you live in where the movie was released. That list was different in different countries.
Really?
Yeah. I really had to kind of rack my brain of like what things didn't really work for me in this movie. So in the Avengers, Tony hacks into S.H.I.E.L.D.'s database, has all of their secrets, doesn't notice anyone's from Hydra.
Do you think he really had all their secrets? Do you think he has everything?
Hey, that's what he said. I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to say it doesn't work. I also think it's a little bit weird that there was a USB drive that got stuck into a candy machine.
Yes.
And they still haven't really done it. They've done it a little bit. But a lack of stakes, the whole death fake out thing, you can only do that so many times.
Yeah, I mean, somebody has to die.
Someone significant has to die. Like, it's like, oh, they killed Quicksilver, but Quicksilver was in a movie where he maybe had 8 minutes of screen time. And that's pushing it. End of the day, this movie is amazing. I love that it's not just a comic book movie. I love that it's a political thriller. I think one of my favorite things, I love the way that it's shot. There's a lot of insane, epic things that happen, but they shoot it very casually. Like, a lot of the stuff, like what Bucky is doing with the knife, if someone else was shooting that, they would have shot it as like, look at this shot. This is like this amazing vignette. This is a painting. This is art. This is just go nuts about it. But in that, they shoot a lot of really epic stuff.
I like
super casual.
I like the fluidity of Bucky's character as the Winter Soldier. I want to see them explore more here. Maybe we get into that in some of Civil War. But how Hydra was using him, the mind wipe. It seems like they were always resetting him.
They got Redford in this movie.
Robert Redford was great.
I remember watching that movie, and Robert Redford goes, "Hail Hydra!" I'm like, what the hell? This is amazing. Like, comic books rule the world with Robert Redford sitting back and going, "Hail Hydra!"
I love
Gary Shandling, who's
this movie. Yeah, talking about Gary Shandling, it starts to tie some of these things that we've been seeing or we've seen before in the universe together. Gary Shandling's character, the Senator, who grilled Tony Stark at the Senate hearing in Iron Man 2. Remember Hydra?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I really like, and it's not that I don't dislike either one of these movies, but Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, both fine, serviceable movies. This one, like, it really shook it up for me. It's like, it gave me something I didn't know that I wanted.
Well, Iron Man 3, like, is my least favorite of the three Iron Man movies.
We'll talk about it next week.
I understand that, but it's my least favorite. But, this is...
I disagree. Drama. Wait till next week.
I was going to ask, but we're going to save next week. Which one do you think is worse than Iron Man 3?
Iron Man 2.
Well, we were supposed to save it for next week.
Oh.
Yeah, the drama.
Spoiler alert.
Okay.
I don't like Iron
Man 2. But I like
2.
how this ties a lot of things in together here. It brings some things back. Gary Shandling's character on the rooftop with the Hydra operative, that when they're questioning him, throws out names like Tony Stark,
Agent
Stephen
Sitwell.
Strange. Yes. Just it starts to tie a lot of things in when the program starts defining targets.
Insight?
Yes, Insight starts finding targets. Tony Stark is a target. It zeroes in on the different targets. I mean, there's just so much to that movie. I like it a lot.
I like getting Zola back in there. So Zola in the books, he's a major Cap villain, but his whole thing is He's essentially a television in the stomach of a robot body.
Oh, kind of
So,
like Krang.
kind of like Krang, yeah. Kind of hashtag kind of Krang.
Kind of Krang.
But I like how they were still able to do something with Zola a little bit in there and not go like full television and a robot.
Yeah, and I like how we get a new character in Falcon, and we don't have a whole lot of backstory to Falcon. Falcon just kind of happens, and I like it. I'm okay with that.
That's one of the. It's a little bit weak for me when they're like, we don't know who to trust. I better go to that guy I met 2 different times, so I'm not convinced I actually know his full name.
But that kind of goes into like Cap's character, like we were talking about, though. The guy's a soldier. Went and visited him at the VA. Kind of, the movie opens with him. I can see that as being a thing. I kind of like some of the Nick Fury stuff too.
Yeah, that's the most action he's got. I like that a lot.
I love that the chase scene where he's trying to get away with the car.
Yeah, that's insane. That's I love the action in this movie.
And it's realistic, plausible action. But again,
no, it's not. But still,
well, for me in like the comic book world, it seems a little more, easy to swallow than aliens coming out of a portal in the sky. Although that is really very comic booky. But here's my thing. This is always my problem with the comic book world.
Oh, I was ready for the list. Like, this is not the podcast to list your problems.
No, because we don't have enough time. But with things happening, like Shield's in disarray, Nick Fury's getting attacked. We see, things are blown up in Washington with, the fight between Cap and Bucky. Why is Tony Stark not coming? Like, Tony's got a TV. He sees his buddy Cap is in trouble. Why is he not flying in to help out?
Because Robert Downey Jr. is too expensive.
Yeah, but I mean, in general, it's not. It wouldn't just be because of that, but
no, it's because of that.
But again, you can't have Iron Man in every movie.
No, very few movies now are gonna just be the one title character. The Thor movie is gonna be Thor and Hulk. This next Captain America movie is basically everybody. Even the Ant-Man movie, they're switching on the title, Ant-Man and the Wasp. They're kind of getting away from the single character thing.
Well, the Civil War movies kind of almost feel like Avengers 3, I would think. I'm very, very interested. There's no Hulk in Civil War though.
Maybe. I've read rumors, but that they're just rumors. I don't think he's in it, but there's a maybe out there.
But we get Spider-Man.
We do. So trying to find things to say about Winter Soldier, just because I could just sit here and be like, I like this part and this and this. I tried looking up why some people don't like it. And the best that I could find and came from it seemed to be a lot of family units. Some people had been bringing their kids to all of these movies and they thought this one was a little too dark, didn't quite have that same fun tone. If that's your complaint of this movie, I totally get that. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's a darker movie, but I'm sure I would imagine that in today's age, if let's say Empire Strikes Back comes out today, I think you get similar complaints. It's the best Star Wars movie, but I think you get similar complaints about the darker tone of the movie.
And that's what happened at the time. That's the lowest grossing of the 3.
Yeah, but it's the best.
At the time, it got panned a bit for being dark.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, it's aged well. I wrote down a couple of quotes from reviewers, people who are paid professionals. And this one starts off okay, but then it goes a little weird at the end. Captain America by no means cares or welcomes newcomers, which, if you think about it, is super un-American.
Wow. See, again, here's my feeling about that. The critics panning it because it's not a standalone movie. I think you got to know at this point when you're getting into the MCU that there are no more standalone movies unless it's the first in the series. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, standalone because you're getting introduced to some of the characters. So even if you haven't watched any of the other Avengers movies, you can come in and watch Guardians of the Galaxy and not feel lost.
Yeah.
I can understand how you would feel lost if you came in to watch Winter Soldier and you hadn't seen First Avenger or any of the other Avengers movies. Just like I feel like I could understand how you'd feel lost if you came in and watched Thor: Dark World and not having understood Loki. Or you have to see it. You have to see Avengers and the first Thor movie to understand Thor: Dark World because it happens after the Battle of New York. So I can understand that as a criticism, but you can't go into that movie expecting, as a standalone movie, you can't go in expecting an enjoyable experience and not to get lost if you haven't seen anything else.
These next two come from the same reviewer, and a lot of the reviews for this movie, it was a 90-something on Rotten Tomatoes.
Did you get these off Rotten Tomatoes? The little blurbs on Rotten Tomatoes? Did you look for the little green splats?
No, because then I would click on the review and read through them to try and get
the juicy stuff.
Yeah. This one I think was part of the blurb, but then the next one is outside of it. I will pay $50 to anyone who can prove that one single audience member worldwide texted, OMG, this plot is fantastic at any point during or after this movie. First of all, don't text during a movie. You're selfish and I hate you.
Yes, it even says at the beginning of the movie, don't text.
But I don't think anyone... It's like, yeah, you know what? You're right, sir. No one in the history of the world has ever texted, OMG, this plot is fantastic.
The one thing I love about when Roger Ebert reviewed movies is he reviewed it in the context of the movie. If you're going to an Indiana Jones movie, you want to see globe hopping adventure. If you go into a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, you're not going for plot. You're going for action. You're going
for this one. I think you could go, yeah, that plot is fantastic, but I'm not going to preface it with OMG.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not also going in for plot. You're going in for the bigger picture, the bigger story arc.
Well, our reviewer here, he really sends it home at the end of his review with, I guess I'm just tired after a decade of having to pay close enough attention to these juggernauts because these are the movies that Hollywood churns out, don't you know? That not one of them has taken the homoerotic prick teasing and brought it to front and center. To hell with this genre until that happens. Good for you. You really took something different out of that movie than I did, sir.
The homoerotic prick teasing.
Yes.
Wow.
Did you get that out of that movie?
No.
Or did you not get enough of it? Because I don't think this guy got enough of it. These are the negative reviews for Winter Soldier.
Wow.
And no, that wasn't a blurb on Rotten Tomatoes. I dug.
I would with the line homoerotic prick teasing.
There was a part in there too where he's like, I'm sick of them comparing dick sizes, and also I really liked The Hobbit 2 more than this movie. Ugh.
That man obviously has no taste in movies.
We disagree on so many things, sir. How
Again,
are you paid? And I am an unsponsored podcast.
Yes. The big thing here for me is it's a bigger picture thing. And if you're going to these movies at this point, you understand there's a bigger picture and they're falling into a bigger universe and it falls into a bigger scope of what's happening. And it all has a bigger ploy. It's all pushing towards one central thing, and that's going to be the Infinity Wars.
I thought it was prick teasing.
Because it's not the Infinity Wars.
I was mistaken. No, I was misled by this reviewer.
Hashtag prick teasing.
No, please don't associate my Twitter with that.
You hashtagged the Tooch earlier.
I will hashtag the Tooch. And I will hashtag Wolverine hand vein.
Yes.
For me, not a lot of question. Winter Soldier, see it in theaters. It's amazing.
Yes, if it were in theaters, again, see it in theaters.
Maybe not in marathon format, but that's just a preference.
Again, do you not want to do the marathon format because it's a long stretch? Like, what if you could watch First Avenger, then you could go have lunch.
Look, if they
and
were
then come back and watch Winter Soldier, and then go have dinner, and then come back and have the main event.
If they were bringing me food and drink, and also I could pause it for bathroom breaks, then I'd do it.
Okay.
Also, it'd have to be cheap food and drink, but high quality.
Can you have both, cheap and high quality?
I think so.
Fair enough.
Moving on to reading recommendations. I'm going to say read the Winter Soldier arc from Ed Brubaker. Came out in 2005. It's not exactly like the way the movie is. It's still really, really strong. The way Bucky comes out of his hypnosis is very different and a little bit silly, but it's a really, really great run. Really just read all of Ed Brubaker's Captain America run. If you want to read some good Captain America, you can't go wrong with any of it.
I recommend reading War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Actually, no, I don't.
We don't read books on this show.
No.
And please send your shame and your hate, because Jared didn't do his required reading for the week.
Well, it's twofold. One, I was on. It's multifold. I'm going to give a litany of excuses that I get from students.
Nope. Shame.
I was on vacation.
Shame him.
Shame
him Game of Thrones style.
I was recovering from my surgery and on some kick-ass narcotics to take care of my pain.
Shame.
I was going to use the...
Shame.
I was going to say there was not enough pictures, but the whole damn thing is pictures.
Nothing but.
But I think it'll be better because I'll have it read for next Tuesday's Iron Man / Civil War Eve excitement.
Yeah, and then you'll go into the movie and be like, this is very different because it's going to be.
Do you think it's going to ruin the movie for me?
No.
Do you think it's going to be where the book is better than the movie?
No, I think they'll be different.
So I will have it read for next time.
Shame.
I accept your shame.
Shame.
You've been shaming me for 15 years.
It's all culminated into this one evening. All right, so last thing to do, let's just plug ourselves. Where can we shame you?
At Junior Rich on Twitter. And where can we praise you for shaming me?
I was gonna say, with only 5-star reviews. Find me at editorsnotecomics.com and at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Also, if you find us on iTunes, right now that's really where I want to push everything. If you can go find us on iTunes, rate, review, subscribe. Right now, every individual matters a ton more than you probably realize.
We have people that we're gonna have sound effects soon for the show. The show's going up. Where can we find you in the real world?
Over on Water Street in Hollowell. Also on YouTube at Editor's Note Comics. I put up a condensed video this week of just like a 5-minute clip of us talking, and then I put pictures on top of it that corresponded with what we were talking about.
Also, any sales? Anything good at the shop? What's the big deal at the shop right now? Obviously, with Civil War coming out next week.
Come buy Civil War. I have a couple copies of it.
I have a copy of it.
Do we have catchphrases? Shame!
No, you usually just say bye, and I'm like, oh yeah, bye. That's usually how these things end. But maybe we'll have some music to play out soon.
All right.
I'm excited for this this progression of the podcast. We're making a splash. We're progressing.
Where people are offering us free work that we didn't ask for or deserve.
You know, you got to start somewhere. Send us your questions. If you send us questions, we'll answer them in a mailbag segment.
Next week, leading up into Civil War, we'll be talking about the Iron Man movies. And so I guess we'll see you next week.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.